Woo! Hi everyone, and welcome to Surrendering with Sarit. I'm Sarit. Thank you so much for being here. You know how happy it makes me already. If you're new, then welcome. Today I wanted to talk to you about perfectionism. I'm reading a book by Dr. Brené Brown, The Gifts of Imperfection, and it inspired me like you wouldn't know. Because when I wrote my book, I knew everything about people pleasing. I talk about it in my video about Dr. Shefali and how I discovered my pattern. I put my boundaries up and I changed it. I can link it for you here if you want to watch it. But I didn't know about perfectionism. And to be honest, I actually used the perfectionism as a badge of honor. Like, you know, when they ask you in an interview, like, how are you with what is your worst quality? Then you will say perfectionism, but then you expect them to say, oh, but you're striving to be so good, so it's actually good. But reading Dr. Brown's definition for perfectionism blew my mind. And she says this is an habitual way of being that is basically a defense mechanism for people not to see the real us. So it is basically a fear that if we show our real self, people will not like it. So we develop these behavioral patterns to protect us from being really seen and being vulnerable. And I think that it actually takes us all the way down to not being vulnerable, to have that discrepancy between ourselves, of not being authentic, and it creates a lot of trouble. If you follow me, then you know already how I talk about it. So when I didn't realize I was doing that, I went back to my book. That's the book that I wrote, Surrendering, How I Learned Letting Go. And I reread some of the parts. And I want to read for you today how I was pretending and not showing my real self because I was such a perfectionist. Like on a scale from 1 to 10, I was 10, 12. So let me read it for you. Guys, if you didn't get it, come on now. It's time. Delta got me good. I'm not talking about the physical side. I had all the terrible symptoms, including the weird loss of taste and smell, but Delta infected my mind. In the days that follow, I am busy pretending everything is okay with me to the extent that I wake up in the morning, dog sick, but put on a brave face, literally applying a full face of makeup to show up on my daily video calls to my mom and Kiki so they can see I am doing okay, only to collapse immediately after hanging up. When Junior and the kids ask me, how am I doing? I smile bravely and declare that I'm getting better every hour. But the truth is that the cumulative effect of the endless hours of isolation from my family, alone in bed with my horrifying thoughts, the now 7 days of separation sleeping apart from Junior, the lack of outlet or reassuring voice to assuage my fears, and the relentless, unchecked worrying are getting to me. But I did all that, but I didn't tell anybody. Why? Because it wasn't perfect. How perfect Sarit can fall apart just from having COVID, just from being sick. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to anyone. So, how I changed from this person that doesn't even say to my closest one when I'm sick to being a high achieving individual, and what is the difference? So I actually decided to remove all the defense mechanism, the people pleasing. I didn't know then that I was a perfectionist and I was removing it, but this is what effect. I don't write like this in my book. This is only after reading Dr. Brown's book that I realized it. But I removed all this shield, that shield that prevented me from being authentic with my family and friends. And how did I do that? Like always, I'm going to give you 3 practical steps. But before I do that, I'm going to pause for a second and I want you to comment below. How perfectionist are you from a scale from 1 to 10? Comment below and let me know. It's really important to me. I'm going to read all of that. And let's get into the steps. The first step is creating healthy goals. Goals that are just for you, that are not for anyone else. Because sometimes we want to be a doctor because one of our parents was a doctor. We want to be a lawyer. You feel pressure to play sports or to do something else. And the goals that we put for ourselves are not even ours. So the first steps, create healthy, achievable goals that are for you and you alone, that will bring you joy and happiness. Number 2, be kind to yourself. When you are going to make a mistake, and notice that I'm saying when, not if, because we are all imperfect. We all make mistakes. So when you make that mistake, be kind to yourself. Just talk to yourself like you would a friend. Sometimes we are so cruel to ourselves. So if a friend of ours would come, oh my God, I'm so stupid, I did that. Look at me. I'm so useless. What would we say? If it's a person we love. No, come on. Don't be so hard on yourself. You know that you did the best you can. You're doing so great, amazing. Look how far you came. But when it comes to us, to speaking to ourselves, what do? We speak so harshly to ourselves. So be kind to yourself when you make that mistake. And number 3, be authentic. Because when you finally take off that shield and you show the people that you really love and care for you, who you really are inside, it feels so good. It's just plain happiness to be that way and to live that way, because you're being your real self. And it's not just that the people around you are going to love you in spite of it. They're going to love you even more. That was my experience, because when I showed my true, vulnerable, imperfect self, I just got even more love from friends and family. And look at it now, because perfectionism prevents you, it paralyzes you. A lot of our procrastination comes from perfectionism. And look at me now. Would I have, with all my imperfection, would I write a book? Would I start a YouTube channel? Would I live my best life? I don't think so. My grammar, my accent, my mistakes in English, it's not my first language. All of that would have paralyzed me back then. I wouldn't even go there. I wouldn't even start. None of this would come to reality or exist. So, guys, create those 3 steps. Be the real you. Take charge of your life and just embrace who you are. We love you just as you are. If you don't remember that you are enough, I'm going to link for you the video about you are enough, and go and watch that one as well, because that will help you just embrace the true you. And I'm going to leave you with a thought for next week. The thought for next week is, I don't know, and I think I actually need to give it a lot of thought. I didn't think about it, so let's just leave it be. Maybe Leanne will get it, maybe not, because we are not perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm speaking to you from the heart. I didn't prepare everything in advance, just a few points. Guys, that's it for today. If you like this content, please don't forget. Let's spread the love. If you know a perfectionist, just forward that to them. Maybe that will help them to live a better life. That's all what we want on this little round ball that we're on. Love you guys. Love, light. Until next time. Bye bye. Now, I'm going to pose for the thumbnail. Like this, perfectionism. Like, blow your mind. How about like